What is up everyone, welcome back to Mainly Movies, the channel where we talk about, well, mainly movies. So welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the latest A24 film by director Ari Aster, Beau is Afraid. So Joaquin Phoenix plays the character Beau, who after receiving a distressing call about his mother, he journeys to his mother's house. I guess that's the best way I can explain the film without really giving too much away. I saw this movie 2 nights ago. It is still clicking around in my head, which is such a great thing. One thing I do want to mention quickly before I get into this review is I was lucky enough a couple of weeks ago at my film school, I was lucky enough to meet Michael and Danny Philippou, who are also known as Raka Raka on YouTube. They have just directed a film which is now being distributed by A24. And I was very privileged to meet them. I've never actually met any kind of celebrities before, which I was very, very starstruck. I got to ask them a couple of questions, which was really, really cool and great to see them in public. They're so energetic and full of beans. It's so great to see that energy and the energy that they brought to their new film. But the reason why I want to mention this is even though a couple of people that I know have already seen their new film, which is called Talk to Me, the trailer has just released as well. But the main reason why I brought this up was because both the films that I saw this week, Evil Dead and Beau is Afraid, they showed the trailer to Talk to Me. It was so nice and so refreshing to see that. I know I got excited because I actually met the directors of the film, but also just the film looks incredible and I can't wait to see it. But it was just, for an Australian film, it looks something very different from what I'm used to seeing from an Australian film. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about Beau is Afraid. Now, Ari Aster, for me, is a filmmaker that I admire very much. But in saying that, I really like Hereditary and the short film that he made called The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. I think those two are phenomenal films, but Midsommar didn't really do as much for me as I was hoping. I think Hereditary is the stronger film out of the two. There was something different about Beau is Afraid from the trailers and everything, which intrigued me about the film and made me want to watch it even more. And I can safely say, for me personally, that this is my favorite Ari Aster film. I think the comedy he does so well. I think like he can write a joke very well and I like that. Even though the humor in the film is, you have to kind of have a dark kind of humor state of mind that you need for this kind of film, because the humor is quite dark and vicious, but it's hilarious. It's really good. And I think this movie is, in its comedic parts, very, very strong. I think the movie as well looks visually stunning. It's really great. There's a sequence about halfway through the movie, which I'm not going to spoil what happens, but I will say visually, it's like we're watching a play. And that looks visually stunning, and he does an amazing job there. As well as just like his decorations. We're going from like, at the start of the film, to like the slums, to like a modern area towards the end, at the end of his journey. And I like that. I like the set dressing and everything that Ari Aster does for his films visually. It's phenomenal. The way it's written and directed, I can't complain. It's great. Joaquin Phoenix's performance is so pathetically humorous and fantastic. It's great. He's the star of the show. I didn't see Joaquin Phoenix. I saw this miserable loser of a character, which the movie is giving you. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but that's what the character is, and that's what the movie's trying to show you, just a pathetic loser. And Joaquin Phoenix plays that character. I'm not saying Joaquin Phoenix is a pathetic loser, but he plays the character very, very well. I think so far, even though I haven't seen that many films this year, I will say this is my favorite film of the year. I had a blast with it. The runtime did not bug me at all throughout the film. The second act does slow down a tiny bit, but then once it changes scene, it ramps back up again. And yeah, I never had any moment where I was thinking to myself, like, I never checked my watch once throughout the film, which is usually an indication when the film is dragging me down a little bit. I will check my watch, but I didn't with this film. Throughout the whole 3 hours, I was just so engaged. And I will say as well, my theater experience was terrific, it was fine, but there was one moment in the film where somebody's ringtone went off. Now, usually when that happens, I'd get like really pissed off, but this person had the most appropriate ringtone for the film. It wasn't the SpongeBob theme song, but it was that like rhythm in SpongeBob. It was just his ringtone, and it happened in like a very quiet moment of the film, and somehow that worked and like made me chuckle because I was already in like a humorous mood with the film, and that just made me chuckle. But I will say, even if you do have a SpongeBob ringtone, please turn your phones off during the movie. Anyway, I will say that my only kind of negative with the film is tone-wise. I think there are moments, I think the comedy in the movie is really good, but when it kind of shifts to this drama horror, I think it kind of loses me a little bit tonally. The strength of the movie is the comedy. It's hilarious. There was a few jokes that had me laughing out loud, and I rarely do that in theaters, but this movie did have me laughing out loud in a couple of scenes. But yeah, I think tonally, especially in the second act, it loses me a lot. But other than that, I think this is a phenomenal film, and definitely Ari Aster's best in my opinion. It is a confusing movie, and it's one of those movies that you're gonna have to watch theories, and you're gonna have to rewatch it a billion times before you can kind of understand where certain things are, and the answers aren't just given to you. But that's the fun of like A24 films, and the fun of most films, when there's like a lot of allegories and meaning behind certain themes and sequences. But that's the beauty of being able to rewatch them and being able to get a new perspective every time you watch them. That is definitely what Beau is Afraid is. It's something you're going to get many different opinions on every time you watch it, which is great, and Ari Aster does that with all of his films. I think Beau is Afraid is a terrific film. I can't wait to watch it again. I'm probably going to go next week to the theaters to see it again. I think it's just a well-written, well-directed, and well-performed movie, which is why I'm going to give Beau is Afraid a 9 out of 10. It's definitely my favorite film of the year, but again, I haven't seen many movies this year, but it is a movie that I'm definitely going to rewatch multiple times, and one that I really want to show my friends because it's such a hilarious film. And I think going in, a lot of people expected something very intellectual like some of his other films where there's a lot of deep meaning behind them, and there is, but I also think that this movie is kind of like a dumb comedy in some parts, which I was not expecting. And there's like a lot of great humor on the surface of this film that keeps you entertained throughout this 3 hours, and Ari Aster knew how to keep an audience engaged throughout 3 hours. Anyway guys, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. So stay tuned, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.